Well, here we are on a Thursday night ahead of some wet weather that's coming. In fact, some of it's already here, as evidenced by the radar and Joe Rayo. The radars and Joe Rayo will be taking us on a radar tour all through the eastern part of the United States, and that includes some severe weather that's going on in parts of the Tennessee Valley in the south. We're going to also talk about what happens after this all gets played out, because Sunday is Mother's Day. But just about every day is Joe and Joe Weather Show Podcast Day, which is brought to you by Amazon. You can shop on Amazon using our referral link that's pinned to the top of the chat board. And when you do, and you purchase something, whatever it is, just use the search bar to get your stuff. And Amazon throws us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. It doesn't cost you one extra penny out of your pocket. It's an easy way. It keeps the podcast commercial free, or at least the live part of the podcast is commercial free. So we have made it to Thursday, Joe. I never thought it would happen, but you know, Uncle Leo from Uncle Leo from Utica was made Pope today.
Jerry, you ratted me out. Hello.
Oh,
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
yeah, it
I,
is. It really is. And
I mean, a lot,
actually,
a lot of
actually,
people were, a lot of people were saying that it could be anyone. I think most people were thinking that this was going to be the first pope from Africa, and a lot of people were saying in the same sentence, it can't be the United States because, well, the United States is a superpower and they already have control of a lot of things, and why should they have control of the papacy or whatever? So this was amazing that you see the white smoke, you say, okay, what is it going to, and then all of a sudden you say, oh, what? You're kidding. And
you should read.
same
Yeah,
age, same almost the same age as you and I, Joe. I mean,
yeah,
he's only about a year older than, not even a year older than I am. So uh,
and you should
it,
be interested in this. So I went and looked at, I was reading about Pope Leo the 13th. Okay. And Pope Leo the 13th was Pope, uh, well, he was born on the 2nd of March, 1810, and died on the 20th of July, 1903. And he was Pope from February 20th, 1878 until the day of his death. But one of the things that I found really interesting that I think you will find interesting, I'm trying to find the quote. Wait a second here. Where is it? Um, okay, I should have just kind of done this earlier and instead of doing it now. But
I like Rich Rotmansky on the chat board. His comment was he was rooting for Father Guido Sarducci
yeah,
to become pope. And Father Sarducci was on Stephen Colbert a couple of nights ago. And I said to Renata, I said, I remember when he was on Saturday Night Live in the '80s, and he got, obviously he's aged quite a bit. Um, but it was nice to see the old Father Sarducci back on television again, giving his playing the role of pundit and giving his idea of who was going to become pope. So
well, a few people were trying to figure out why did he pick Leo. That's why I went and looked. I looked at Leo the 13th, and one of the things that Leo the 13th did was that he reopened, and I wanted to read it exactly as it says it here. So, but I can't seem to find it now. But apparently, Leo was very big on science, and
yes, yes,
and
he has a he taught in I think in the Chicago schools he taught mathematics and occasionally he also taught physics.
right,
So
no,
he
but Pope Leo the 13th, the last Pope Leo, in the late 1800s, apparently they had closed what used to be part of the Vatican where astronomers would go to look at the sky. And he was really big on astronomy, and he reopened the the that part of the Vatican
The
to allow
observatory.
right the observatory to allow for astronomical research. He was he was a big science guy, and the people don't realize is the Catholic Church actually does a lot of science stuff.
The, uh, the thing that they don't seem to do anymore is when we make reference to the Pope, we simply say, like, for example, Pope John Paul or Pope Francis or Pope Gregory or whatever. But I remember when I was very young and during the summer of 1963, Pope John passed away. And I remember constantly them making reference to Pope John the 23rd. They don't seem to, obviously it's being mentioned now with the new Pope Leo the 14th. But I think pretty soon a lot of people just simply drop the 14 and just simply say Pope Leo. But
Right.
back in the day, many years ago, when you made reference to a pope, apparently you gave the full uh, uh, moniker. The Pope, and again, as I said, Pope John the 23rd. I don't know why I remember that. I was only what 6 7 years old, but I still remember everybody was making reference to Pope John the 23rd.
Right.
And again, they don't seem to do that anymore. They just simply say, Pope Leo.
I did find the paragraph. It says, as soon as this is Pope, now this was Pope Leo the 13th. Okay. You learn a lot of stuff here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And we'll get to weather in a second. But it says, and I'm reading this off of Wikipedia. As soon as he was elected to the papacy, Leo the 13th worked to encourage understanding between the church and the modern world when he finally reasserted the scholastic doctrine that science and religion coexist. He required the study of Thomas Aquinas and opened the Vatican's secret archives to qualified researchers, among whom was the noted historian of the papacy, Ludwig von Pastor. And he also refounded the Vatican Observatory so that everyone might see clearly that the church and her pastors are not opposed to true and solid science, whether it's human or divine, but that they embrace it, encourage it, and promote it with the fullest possible devotion. I just thought that was really interesting about Pope Leo the 13th. So
And
yeah,
and there's a guy there. There is a I said guy, but that's what he is popularly known as, the astronomer Guy, referring to Brother Guy Cosimo Magno, a Jesuit brother and the director of Vatican Observatory. He's also known as the Pope's astronomer, and his primary research interests are connections between meteorites and asteroids and the origin and evolution of small bodies in the solar system. And I also remember when we landed men on the moon for the first time in 1969, there was a photograph, a picture of Pope Paul looking through the telescope at the Vatican Observatory at the moon. So, yes, they do have an observatory at the Vatican, and Brother Guy is the one who is in charge of that, and I'm sure he's going to be showing our new Pope a lot of astronomical things in the sky from that observatory in the coming weeks and months to come.
and my daughter, by the way, was really thrilled, my youngest daughter, because this Pope Leo went to Villanova, and my daughter is a graduate of Villanova. So
Yeah, yeah.
everybody that's gone to Villanova, I've noticed on Facebook, has been posting all about the fact that the new Pope Leo, is a graduate of Villanova. All right, let's move on to what's going on
My sister, by the
weather-wise.
way, my sister, by the way, was she was disappointed. Number one, she wanted very much to have Cardinal Dolan here from New York be considered for the Pope. And funny thing when she said that, I said they'll never elect a Pope from the United States or from America, and of course that immediately came crashing down on me this afternoon. And the other thing was, if it wasn't going to be Cardinal Dolan, she wanted Cardinal Pizzaballa. They're
I saw that, and actually, a couple of days ago, when I was looking at the poly markets to see what the betting markets were doing, they actually had this. They actually had this Pope. on the list. He was like fifth or sixth, and he was 4 cents on the dollar. So you could have made 25 to 1 on him if you.
Do you think they actually had? I guess in Las Vegas they'll bet on anything. You
Bet
probably could
on,
have.
you could go to the Poly Market website. And you could bet on, there's all sorts of things that that they're doing.
Yep.
They were doing the Pope. They were doing, also some political stuff, some non-political stuff. You can bet it right now on the Poly markets. Anyway,
Whatever.
uh, we can bet on the Poly markets and probably get, you know, 1 cent on the dollar over the fact that it's going to rain. And in fact, there's some stuff on the radar right now over you. There's some severe weather down where near me. So you've got the radars tonight. Uh, so
Yes.
set it up, and everybody, welcome to everyone on the chat board, and those of you who are in the background on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, because we're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. And there's no schedule change. We are going to be here on Sunday, so we'll see you on Sunday after tonight's show. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn your notifications on so you don't miss us, and of course, if you like the show, hit the like button. So Mr. Rayo has got his what is it? Oh, yeah, one other thing, just really quick. So they were coming out, when they were coming out on the balcony,
Right.
and the Pope first walked out, my train ticket is stamped straight to hell. The first thing I thought of was that they should have had Carol Merrill up there when they opened the curtain. For those of you who don't
And
know and
so,
are
so the
young,
Pope,
Carol
the
Merrill
Pope
used
comes
to.
out. The Pope comes out, and she's there, like this on the
Yes,
balcony.
with the hand thing, exactly. Your beautiful new Pope. Carol Merrill was the prize pointer on the original Let's Make a Deal back in the 60s and 70s. So just,
The only one, by the way, with
and the
Monty
only
with Monty
prize
Hall.
pointer, yes.
The only model. I mean, you see on Price is Right. And now I got a glimpse recently of the new. It's not new anymore. It's been on for a good number of years on CBS in the mornings. Let's Make a Deal, and they must have like 4 or 5 different models, each one prettier and more attractive than the other. But back in the day, all you needed was Carol Merrill. She was it.
Yep. Anyway, go ahead. You go ahead and start prize pointing the radars.
Okay, well, we'll start off with Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm going to go from from southwest to northeast along the Appalachian Trail because that's where much of the precipitation happens to be at this hour. And you can see these red blotches, that, of course, indicative of potential severe weather down in this area. And we'll see that in a little bit. SPC has indicated that there is the potential for severe weather and possible damaging winds and even tornadic activity. And you can see that any one of these red blotches, while they don't cover a whole lot of real estate, if you happen to be underneath one of those, you may very well be experiencing 50, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts, heavy downpours, and again, the possibility of tornadic activity. So that's being picked up right now on the radar from Knoxville. And if we go up again, as I said, I'm going to work my way southwest to northeast. So let's go now to Roanoke, Floyd County in Virginia. And I don't know why some of the radars are showing these lines briefly like that. But in any case, you can see working its way through the mountains of western North Carolina and on up into the spine of central Virginia. We do have areas of showers and locally strong thunderstorms. Now, I want to point out in the New York metropolitan area, in the tri state area, Long Island, northern New Jersey, Hudson Valley, we're not likely to see any severe weather. It would not be surprising if early tomorrow you heard a rumble or two of thunder. In fact, we even had some rumbles out there this afternoon. But it looks like most of the activity that we're going to be looking at is just going to be a heavy, steady, soaking rain, which will develop mainly in the after midnight hours, although a few showers have already crossed through parts of the tri state area. And again, these showers and storms occurring in a warmer area, a warmer layer of air over North Carolina and also into Virginia. So we continue on that northeast trajectory. Let's go up to Washington, D.C., Sterling, Virginia, and you can see that there are some showers. It doesn't look like a whole heck of a lot, although it would appear that as we go through the night and as a low pressure system begins to intensify near the mid Atlantic coast, as that system begins to wind up, what you're seeing now will probably get what's the term I'm looking for? The area of precipitation will begin to get more widespread, or the areas, the gaps between the showers will close up, and we'll be seeing more of a steadier area and a larger area of steadier rain that will be moving in. And there's the potential in some areas, at least up here in the Virginia and Maryland and Delaware area, for 2, maybe 3 inches of rain between now and early Saturday morning. So it looks like, again, a real soaker coming up. As we continue north and east, let's go into Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania, and most of New Jersey. Not seeing very much right now except for northern and northwestern New Jersey. But you can see over portions of eastern Pennsylvania, we have some shower activity, some rain activity developing. Also developing here in southeastern Pennsylvania. You can see that area beginning to expand, and also there are some probable embedded thunderstorms. There is possibly some thunderstorm activity now crossing through northeastern New Jersey, and it faded out, but maybe it made into southern Westchester, also up here in northern Westchester. Now, I was hearing a little while ago here in Putnam County some rumbles of thunder, and that may have been this area that you see moving across northeastern Westchester County and on up into portions of southwestern Connecticut. And again, all of this activity is going to get more intense, more widespread with the coming hours. And it looks like the heaviest rains for the tri state area will come from about midnight tonight to about midday tomorrow. And again, we're looking at the possibility in some areas of 1.5, maybe 2.5 inches of rain. And for much of the Hudson Valley, there are now flood watches posted, except for the extreme southern sections of the Hudson Valley, south of 287 and down toward New York and Long Island. No advisories for flooding down here. But again, just to the north of 287, all across Orange County, Rockland County, Putnam, up into Sullivan and Ulster and Dutchess and Orange County. These are the areas that may be in line for some heavy rain activity later tonight and into, again, mostly the first part of tomorrow. We continue north and eastward. We go to Boston, and you can see that there are some localized heavy cells of precipitation crossing through southern sections of New Hampshire, and also some locally heavy activity over central sections of Massachusetts. There was a brief little flare up over northern Rhode Island. And again, all of this activity progressing to the north and to the east overnight, and we'll be seeing more in the way of heavy rain moving into portions of New England later tonight and on into the day tomorrow. So, Joe, that pretty much tells the story all the way from the Tennessee River Valley up to southern New England. Make sure you have an umbrella handy because you're going to need it during the overnight and on into much of Friday. And it does not look like we're going to be getting rid of the last of the showers locally until maybe daybreak on Saturday morning or maybe shortly thereafter. And then comes the waiting game. The waiting game being the gradual clearing that we are hoping to see during Saturday, along with a rather gusty breeze. And finally, we should clear out completely by later Saturday, and that should set the stage for a really beautiful day on Mother's Day Sunday and even on Monday. And Tuesday doesn't look too shabby either, although by Tuesday, the next disturbance, which I'm sure we'll be talking about, will begin to develop, throw high clouds our way for Tuesday, and then break out the umbrellas. You may need them again for later Wednesday on into next Thursday.
And in the meantime, we're looking at, by the way, Joe's going to come back with the drought monitor in a bit. We do have a number of, actually 5 working severe thunderstorm watches that cover areas across Alabama, Tennessee, northern Georgia, western and northwestern South Carolina, western and central North Carolina, southwest Virginia, and southeast Kentucky. So this area highlighted by SPC. We also have severe thunderstorm watches up deep in the heart, deep into South Texas, down to the Mexico border. Chilly air over the Great Lakes. They've got some frost advisories and even some freeze warnings that are up for tonight. And as we check out the satellite loop, you can see a lot of lightning strikes showing up in the Tennessee Valley, in the lower Ohio Valley. Also seeing lightning strikes down in South Texas and just offshore, and also seeing some lightning strikes showing up, but not nearly as much with what's going through the Northeast, particularly in one band that's moving across northern Connecticut, Massachusetts, and just west of Boston. Nice and clear over the Great Lakes, back to the Dakotas. A little bit of high cloudiness as you move into the northern Rockies, and then it clears out again up and down the entire West Coast. And here's the wide views of the radar. Flash flood warning has just gone up for a county in east central Mass, probably not too far from Worcester, but there's a little green box there. They went from a severe thunderstorm warning to a flash flood warning. And then you can see there are numerous severe thunderstorm warnings up in western North Carolina, northwestern South Carolina. There's some storms to my north. They're not that close. I'm about 25 miles from the Carolina state line. So you probably have to go at least another 25 or 30 miles further north than that to get into some of the showers and thunderstorms that you see there in eastern Tennessee and in western North Carolina. Some warnings are also up for a few cells in southern Ohio, and we've got some thunderstorms and a flash flood warning up in southern I'm sorry, in west central Kentucky, and some showers and a few storms in southern Illinois. Then we go down to the Gulf states where it's loaded in South Texas, and you can see there are numerous severe thunderstorm warnings there. It looks like some storms around Corpus Christi area, and then points northward on the coast, not quite to the Houston Galveston area. They're out of it at the moment. A little bit of activity just east of Savannah, offshore, also off the central Florida coast with some thunderstorms there. And you can see the spotty popcorny showers from New Mexico northward up into southern Montana. Storm Prediction Center has, as I said, it's one, two, three, four, five, actually six severe thunderstorm watches. One's a small one. It just kind of connected three of them. They had the three severe thunderstorm watches, and then they got a little box there for a small area that connects two of the bigger ones. And we also have a severe thunderstorm watch that's up in South Texas. This is all inside an area of slight risk tonight, and the tornado risk is 2% in the area that is in the Tennessee Valley, in South Texas, and this is probably over with respect to some of the storms that you saw there in coastal Georgia. For tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center has the general thunderstorm line cutting across Long Island Sound, Joe, to about Staten Island and then southwest from there. Marginal risk from southern Virginia to Florida and west along the Gulf Coast to Mississippi. And then as we move on to day three being Saturday into Sunday, we're seeing a marginal risk in South Georgia and northern Florida, and no thunderstorm risk as you move north from there up to Maine and then back through the Great Lakes and into the plains. A couple of areas here in the Rockies and in parts of the Southwest. WPC is anywhere from an inch and a quarter to maybe as much as 2 inches in some areas. They kind of cut back a little bit on the rain for the Northeast, but still something substantial. And then you can see the bigger rain amounts further south, particularly down into South Carolina and Georgia, where we're looking at 4 and 5 inch amounts in central and South Georgia and coastal South Carolina into northern Florida. The amounts lessen as you go north and west to 1.5 inches to the Carolina state line. So there you go. So, well, this to me is about this upper low that's dropping southward tonight, out of down the St. Lawrence Valley. It's actually moving southwestward, which is what you start to see this time of year. And the low cuts off in western Pennsylvania, the upper low, and moves right over New Jersey and closes off. There's a nice 1, 2, 3 contour, 4 contour cutoff just south of west of Nassau County. By the time we get to 5 a.m. Saturday, and then it just gets kicked along to the northeast. Meanwhile, there's a southern trough that gets left behind. You see a cutoff there that forms over Louisiana. So that's going to be feeding moisture up into the southeast, which is why WPC did what they did as far as the rainfall is concerned. We've got a northwest flow for Sunday, so it should be nice, ridging from the Great Lakes northward. And then eventually that southern upper low kind of opens up and then lifts northeastward during the middle part of next week, perhaps bringing some more rain. And of course, you've got energy that, a deep trough that comes into the west that's going to kick all of this along. And then then what might be, again, this may be next weekend. The European has been keying on, some kind of a bit of a powerhouse type of low for this time of year, which could be, a prolific severe weather producer. We'll see how that plays. But overall in the east, once we get through the middle part of next week, things do calm down a bit and still wants to bring troughing back to the east as we get toward May 22nd, May 23rd. And, you know, at least
If you
in
want
this
to, if you
type,
want to back, if you want to back up just a bit to this coming Sunday and Monday on the upper
yeah,
air for a moment,
sure.
I said
One moment.
so many people, so many forecasters were making allusion to see right there, right, moving forward again, and what you're seeing with the low over the upper low over Texas and Louisiana, and the ridge of high pressure building literally right above it over the northern plains and western Great Lakes. Now, I heard so much about or you probably have heard so much in the last week about the Omega block. This is a different type of block. This is what's called a Rex block, and that's a ridge of high pressure that Joe has drawn on the map there. When a ridge of high pressure is located to the north of a low pressure system, effectively blocking the movement of other weather systems, just like the Omega block does. And this pattern, you say, well, I know about Omega. What's Rex? The pattern is named after a meteorologist named Daniel F. Rex and can lead to extended periods of warm, dry weather under that high pressure system and wet, rainy, unsettled weather near the low pressure system. And that's exactly what's going to happen, especially down across the Gulf states. Joe was showing the WPC forecast for precipitation over the next 7 days, and you probably noticed that down in that area, down across the southern United States, they were expecting that. Well, how much red would you like to see? That in part was due to that low pressure system that is down over the southern United States. And notice, if you will, how dry or relatively dry it is just to the north and northwest of there, across Iowa, northern Missouri, and Illinois, and a good part of Michigan. That is that high pressure system. So dry to the north and very wet with the low pressure system to the south. And again, because of the slow movement of these blocking patterns, and in this pattern in particular, known as the Rex block. So we go from one block to another, Joe. We had the Omega block. Now we have the Rex block.
You like the drawing I'm doing while you were talking?
And what is that? The smiley block?
And the smiley block. Yes, correct. Yeah, so anyway, we I should remember to use that more often than I do. I used to use it a lot, then I'd stop using it, now I've discovered it again. So here we go with this, this low that forms in North Carolina and Virginia overnight and then just takes all day long tomorrow to new move northward. But you see how the rain just blossoms out across the Northeast, down into the mid-Atlantic states, and then the low as that cutoff takes hold, takes the surface low, starts to kick it away. Now, this is not a radar presentation. This is precip. So when you see the green on the western end of it, it's probably already the precipitation's probably over with at that point.
Right.
It just fell in the prior 3 hours. So or in the early part, so probably ending like around 5 or 6 a.m. and then gone, and then we'll start to dry out. And as Joe said, it'll be a matter of how long it takes for decreasing clouds, increasing sun. And then Sunday looks like a nice day. Northwest breeze, high pressure building into upstate New York, should be plenty of sunshine. It's keeping all the rain that's moving out of the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America that moves into the Florida Panhandle and in through Georgia late Saturday and into Sunday and into Monday, and then it gets really concentrated Monday, and through the Carolinas and into Virginia. Now, there was one run last night that kind of weakened this as it moved northward. This has gone back in the other direction in lifting another low up the coast and bringing more rain, and that would be probably sometime later Tuesday night, Wednesday into Wednesday evening before that goes away, and then after that, there's probably some short waves in the upper trough in the northwest flow, and that's why you see these patchy showers for Thursday and Friday, and also for next Saturday as another and next weekend as another weather system comes in. And there's the vigorous low I was talking about here. You can see it forming there in Kansas and Nebraska, and this could be for late next weekend where there might be some uh, you know some severe weather in the Mississippi River Valley, actually starting in the Central Plains to the Mississippi River Valley, and eventually into the Ohio Valley. And I'm looking at this; it's got a deep low that goes fairly deep low for this time of year. To see a low down, what is that, like a 90? It's a 96-ish low that eventually goes into Michigan with a big arm that comes around it. So if it does wind up looking that way, uh, it'll be um, it'll be very interesting to say the least. So you got the drought monitor,
Yes, I do.
all right?
Or
Because it
as
is
Mr.
Thursday and this is an updated drought monitor. So let's see how much progress we have made on the dry conditions.
as Mr. O'Toole on Treasure Hunt used to say, yes, I have, or yes, I do. Um, so we're going to look at that right now. Uh, Specifically, the Northeast drought monitor, and it should be up on your screen right now. And you could see now, now this is kind of surprising to me, Joe. I mean, after all the wet weather we've had in recent days or weeks, I figured that, at least in my neck of the woods, that I would have no drought problems. But according to the monitor here, I'm going to zoom in on New York State. According to this drought monitor, um, abnormally dry conditions. Now, this does not take into account what we're about to see tonight and tomorrow. Again, we're looking at some places possibly getting another 1 or 2 inches of rain, so that should help at least to tamp down or alleviate the dry conditions a bit more. But right now, believe it or not, right here in the Hudson Valley, we are looking at abnormally dry conditions over northern sections of Orange County, southern areas of Sullivan and Ulster County, much of Putnam County, and then we see still moderate drought, a D1 category across southern Orange County, southern sections of Putnam County, which includes my area, believe it or not. I don't believe it. Rockland County and northern sections of Westchester. And you might notice also, if you take a real close look, I'm going to zoom in on Orange County for this. Let's see if I can. Oh, well, all it does is just simply highlight Orange County.
Right.
So that's not going to do much good. So anyway, I just want to point out here, right here in the area bordering northern New Jersey in Orange County, there is a D2 severe drought. I'm scratching my head how that still is possible, but severe drought for a small section of Orange County here. Now, if you go south of 287 into southern Westchester, it's abnormally dry. It's also abnormally dry, apparently, for Nassau County and pretty much all of the 5 boroughs. However, Suffolk County is out in the clear with no drought problems. And in fact, much of New York State, as you can see, is out in the clear with no drought situation, no drought issues. However, here in this area of western New York, abnormally dry. This would include, I think, Rochester and also perhaps Syracuse. These areas here abnormally dry. But again, with the wet weather coming tonight and into tomorrow, a lot of this may be alleviated for the next drought report, which will be here next Thursday. So we'll see how that all pans out. As far as the rest of the country is concerned, let me
Well,
just
go
back.
look in New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania too, down into Maryland.
Okay, well, we can do. Let's see what we can do
South
here.
Jersey's been bone dry. I mean, they were under. I think they were under extreme drought a couple of weeks ago.
Right. Well, now they've improved. They've gone from extreme drought to only moderate drought. They've gone from a D3 category to a D1. Here in the yellow, again, abnormally dry for much of the rest of southern New Jersey. Central Jersey, no problems, no drought situation whatsoever. Northern New Jersey, it's either abnormally dry in the yellow. That area that I just pointed out for Orange County with the severe drought, that also encompasses a portion of Sussex County, New Jersey, up here in this area of northern Jersey, and that's surrounded by a moderate drought area here. So there's still drought conditions to be had, at least in New Jersey, but central sections, the middle part of New Jersey, is out in the clear. And, it's still, indicated to be moderate drought in South Jersey, but that's a big improvement over, as Joe mentioned a couple of weeks ago, when they were in a D3, the red zone for extreme drought. So slowly but surely, things are improving, but it looks like it's not going to go away all at once. In Pennsylvania, we can see that most of the western and central and northern part of the state pretty well is out in the clear with no drought problems. But then across portions of eastern and especially southeastern Pennsylvania, we have everything from abnormally dry conditions to moderate to, in this darker shade of orange, extreme severe drought. And so they are still hoping for more wet weather and more rain to alleviate that drought situation in the coming days and weeks. And again, what they'll see tonight and tomorrow hopefully will tamp that down. Maybe the places that are in severe drought this week will have improved to only a moderate drought by next week, and the places that are abnormally dry, well, hopefully it'll be out in the clear and they'll have no drought situation to be concerned about. But again, much of western and central and northern sections of Pennsylvania are pretty well drought free at this moment in time. And we want to take a look at the rest of the country. The places that are really suffering in terms of drought conditions right now in the areas that are in severe drought or even extreme drought, southern sections of Florida, southern and western sections of Texas, and most of southern New Mexico, southern sections of Arizona, and as we go up into southern Nevada, they are having their drought problems. Also, a small area in western Colorado, they have the high plains, they have severe drought situation, as well as portions of Wyoming, a small southwest corner of South Dakota. They too are in the zone of severe drought. But you want to look at the good news, it's all free and clear across the Great Lakes for the most part, down through the central and southern plains, and also into portions of the far west. No real problems. California, they range anywhere from severe drought in the extreme southern end of the state to no problems up in central and northern sections of California.
All right. So you have Briller Jeopardy.
Yes, I have all kinds of stuff to show tonight, don't I?
You
All
do.
right. Yes. Well, let me just get Briller Jeopardy up, and we will proceed with that. Ba, 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 ba. I have to switch over here and go to that. Come on, come up. And here we are on Briller Jeopardy for tonight, continuing with the average high temperatures in the month of May, Joe. The average high temperatures in the month of May. We start with Central Park.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're doing average what?
Average high temperatures for the month of May.
Oh, we didn't do this already?
This was sent, I think, last night at 10:04. Oh, this morning. This was
Okay.
sent this morning at 10:04 a.m.
Uh, Hold on. So we're doing the high average high for May.
Right.
Okay. I'll say 73.
Good guess, a little bit on the mild side or warm side. Louis Origio, a little closer with 72. In fact, you're in snake country with that 72, Louis. And Mark, going to give you a bell ring. He gets it with 71. 71 for the average high temperature in May at Central Park. Next one, Joe, on the list is OKC, Oklahoma City.
Um, I'll say, well, Dallas last night when we did Dallas was 85. It's not that far from Oklahoma City, so I'll say 83.
I would have gone with the same conclusion that you went with, but amazingly, a little bit too warm.
Okay, well, I knew it was going to be lower than Dallas, so I guess I wasn't low enough.
Louis Horatio, you are again in snake country with an 80-degree temperature. And David Scott, you're in snake country too with 78. So what does that mean, Joe?
Um,
If
Mike
Louis
Waterhouse.
if Louis says 80 and he's in snake country, and David Scott said 78, he's in
Well,
snake country,
well,
that can
that
only
means
mean
that means that William Uber at 79 is correct.
absolutely. William, here you go. Ding a ding 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 ding. We don't ring the bell anymore for 100 likes because we don't seem to get a lot of people like we do during
Well,
the winter.
this is our low season.
Yes, we're in the low. This is a slack month for us. Got to wait until we start getting into the hurricane season. Then we'll get the larger numbers and more of those 100+ like nights. Philadelphia,
Um,
city of brotherly love,
I'm sorry, what did we say for New York?
71.
I'll say 73.
Once again, Joe, very close. This time not warm enough, but in snake country you are with 73.
Oh, I'm in snake country. Okay.
And Louis Origio, who came so very close the first two times out, and in fact, I think he was right with Central Park. He's right again. 74. 74 degrees, the average high temperature in the month of May for Philadelphia. And Paul Roman and Vincent Croce, you too have 74 degrees. So there you go. Chuck Cardillo also 74. Mike Waterhouse Bonsai, 74 degrees. Now we move to city number 4, and it is Orlando.
Uh, I'll say 87.
Ah, again, Joe, Snake Country.
Oh, I'm just missing tonight.
You're just missing, really. I'll
Okay.
give you, and I'll give you a hint.
Well, Rich
WCBS.
Rothmansky's right. Rich Rothmansky has News Radio 88 WCBS, New York.
Absolutely. There it is. 88 for Rich, 88 for Maggie P, for Mike Waterhouse Bonsai, and Latex Streams. And congratulations to all. You got it at 88. And thank you, Scott Briller, for hitting the tip jar for this Thursday night. How about whatever happened to Ruben?
Oh, yeah, he's probably, well, he should be probably done with school soon if he hasn't. Yeah, he's disappeared.
He has, but he used to love when I did my "All right, boss, Rochester here,
Oh my
Rochester, New
God.
York."
Rochester.
By the way, Rochester's real name was not Rochester, obviously. The actor who portrayed him wonderfully for all the years that Jack Benny was on both radio and television was Eddie Anderson. Eddie Anderson played the role of Rochester. And Rochester played just about everything for Jack Benny. He was Jack Benny's valet, Jack Benny's cook, Jack Benny's mechanic. But he was a very, very funny character on the old Jack Benny show. And by the way, if you're into Jack Benny, I made a discovery recently, Joe. Since now I on Tuesdays and Thursdays I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready for when my son brings my our grandchild over, and we watch him from early in the morning until mid afternoon. I made a discovery on
Yes.
antenna TV, 7 and 7:30 in the morning, the Jack Benny program.
Oh, good God.
And it's wonderful. I said, my God, look at this! It's Jack Benny. He's alive again. This morning, by the way, this morning they had as his guests. Jack had the Letterman. Remember the Letterman from the
Yes.
1960s?
Right. I remember.
Anyway, enough with that. Rochester, New York, Joe. Average high
Uh,
temperature of May.
I'll say 71.
Well, not good enough. But we
Too low.
already have a winner on the chat board. Congratulations to Maggie P. 68 degrees. And there you are, Maggie P. Congratulations. I'm going to give you a bell ring for that. Ding, ding, ding. Last one, Joe. This is going to be a little difficult because it's not really a place, where there's like a first class or first order meteorological site or an airport. But the bonus is Wildwood, New Jersey.
Well, it's close to Atlantic City, and they get the sea breeze. See, that's the thing. That's gonna throw things off, I think. Um, but on the other hand, it could warm up to like mid 70s there and then just cool off after that. So I'll say 72.
Joe, you were like beating around the bush when you said the sea breeze. And I said, man, he's probably going to get it. And then you went for 72. I'll tell you right now,
I should have gone lower, right? I should have gone in the
it,
60s.
it's in the 60s.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's in the 60s. Rothmansky's and Cardillo both have 69.
But James Davidson was 1 degree better, and he hit it right on the nose with
68?
68. 68 degrees.
Yeah.
But you were right. They do get that sea breeze, and that probably makes them a bit cooler with the sea breeze as opposed to places that are just inland.
Right.
And I'd always used to drive my news director at News 12 Westchester crazy. Whenever we had a tremendous, whenever heat was the main story, and you see like Central Park 96 and Newark, New Jersey 98 or whatever like that.
And White Plains would be 92.
No, not White Plains would not even be in the 90s. It'd be like 89.
89.
And
Okay.
she'd say, "How is that possible? Why aren't they hot like them?" I said, "Janine, we should be using a place like Montgomery or further north up in Poughkeepsie because White Plains is not. First of all, the airport is not even in White Plains. For
No, it's in
God's
Harrison.
It's in Harrison,
Right.
and they get subjected to that onshore easterly wind or southeasterly wind from off of Long Island Sound, which cools them off just enough. And so, I know what really drove her crazy was when we had a heat wave or a potential heat wave, and here's the third day in a row that Central Park got above 90 degrees, and I'd say, well, sorry, Janine, no heat wave, because that's the first order or the main weather observing site in Westchester is White Plains, but they always were falling just short of 90 degrees during the potential heat wave time. And she'd get really, I'd say, well, we could say other places, Teterboro, that's close to Yonkers, they got into the 90s or whatever. But anyway, that's what happens when you have a sea breeze to help cool things off.
Yeah. All right. I have my grandson's birthday's on Sunday, so I will be driving to I'd be going to my daughter's house for a little while, but we'll be here Sunday night at 7:35 p.m. Eastern time.
You'll be there. I'll be here. And
Make
all of you
sure.
on the chat board, make sure you're there.
Exactly.
Yes.
And to the moms on the chat board, happy Mother's Day. And we will see you all Sunday night. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.
See you, folks.